Looking kind of cloudy out here on that side. Anywho, hoorah. What's good, lovies? What's good, sexies? What's good, my sexies? What's good, family? How y'all doing? Warriors. What's good? What's good? Priests. The priestesses and the priests. My warriors. What's up? All right. We here again. You know me. The doctor, the minister, the prince. Your prince, Vermont Prince. For the Om Institute. And Love Side's Naked Church. Love Side is a subgroup of the Om Institute. Okay? I'm by some noise, a lot of noise. You hear a lot of noise in the background, so I'm kind of talking a little louder than I might need to or whatever. I don't know, but I want to make sure y'all get this info, this download. Well, for y'all, it's gonna be really an upload. All right, so let me first get into explaining briefly what Naked Churches is. Naked Church, we do Naked Church. As you see, you know, I'm in a, well, you really don't see the background, but there's a park behind me or whatever. So we not doing the Naked Church right now. Well, we always doing the Naked Church, but we're doing it on a mental plane instead of a physical plane because there's a park behind me. Boom, where the children play. So even though it's children not here, if I'm in this park and they find me naked, it's automatically they're gonna try to link to it. It's nobody in the whole park, but they're gonna link. They're gonna make something out of it. So you know, it's all about being smarter than your enemy. You know, if you playing chess, you want to win, right? All right, so you gotta learn how to win. Long story short, we don't do Naked Church because we're perverts. We don't do Naked Church because we're trying to promote some type of social degradation or whatever. We don't do Naked Church because we just want some shock value or attention. We do Naked Church because that's the human being's original way of life. That's why we are born naked. This is our original way of life. This is how we connect to this matrix we in, which is the science behind this live. Not. You'll see what I'm saying later. Anywho, so, and I'm recording on 2 phones right now. So if you see me looking back and forth, that's what's going on. I'm recording on 1 phone so I can upload it on YouTube, and the regular phone I'm doing a live. I mean the other phone I'm doing a live. Okay, cool. The science is this. We do Naked Church because that's a natural human being's natural way of being. And when you in your natural element, you align and connect with the matrix. Again, for religious terminology, the matrix would be creation. So it helps you align with creation. And when you're in alignment with creation, you get I don't want to say blessings because I'm trying to not be too religious with this. You get, see, now it's children in the park. Imagine if I would have done that. But did the Naked Church in this park. But you get in alignment with, when you get in alignment with the creation or the matrix, you get what you were intended to get. It's not that somebody or someone is blessing you. It's just that that's what's there. And if you're there where it's at, you're going to get that. So what we call blessings is really just being in alignment with the matrix. Okay, so that's the science of Naked Church. Besides the fact that the sun rays, we needed to hit our skin in order to activate, in order to feed our melanin so that our melanin can activate our DNA. Everyone has melanin. Some more than others, but everyone has it, even the albino. So we need that vitamin D, that sunshine hormone. We need that. That's paramount law. Light, air, water. And you need air to be hitting your skin. And you need the moisture or the water in the air to be also hitting your skin. There's information in all of that. And it helps our DNA function the way it's supposed to function. We are supposed to be evolving on all aspects of this, even spiritually. And that's what it does. So now that I cleared that up, let me get into this science, right? Okay. What we are calling life is really a program. We are virtual reality simulations. No, we're not simulating. We are virtual reality codes. We're codes inside of a matrix. The matrix itself is the program. It's the program. There's hardware to this program, but that's the software. It's a program, and we are part of it. The real us, hear all that noise, right? That's why I gotta be yelling. The real us is outside of this matrix. I drew something real quick. I didn't want to draw this, but I drew it. The real us, all right, I'm gonna cover all this because y'all not getting this information right here underneath. All right, so it's backwards. I don't know, y'all both, I'm gonna back it up so y'all can see it. If you look at it, these are two different things. I did one and then one was sloppy, so I did it again. These are the same thing though. This is a person with headphones on, a headset or whatever, and it's linked to this. This is a flat sphere, no, pardon me, a flat disc within a sphere. This is right here what we are the data programmed into this. So think of this as a device. Like you got a tablet, you got a phone, you got a laptop, you got this and that. That will be similar to this. And we are programmed into our thoughts. This is the real us. The real us is here. And we are the thoughts of this being right here. Is programmed into here. The real us has its consciousness programmed into, uploaded into this program. And the upload into this program, I know I didn't really invite people. I should invite people, right? I should do that, right? I don't know if y'all gonna see me if I do this though. I don't know if I should do that. Nah, I'm not gonna do it. People get it when they get it. So, our consciousness, the real us, is hooked up to a device and has its consciousness uploaded into this device. And on this device, there's a program. The program is the Matrix. What you see around you, all these, I'm not talking about the stuff that people built. I'm talking about what people consider to be nature, the sky, the wind, the trees, the air, the stuff that we say is naturally there, God's creation. That's the Matrix. That's the program that's been put there. It's a simulation. It's a virtual world. And we're into it. We're a part of that virtual world. Our bodies is part of that virtual world. Our consciousness is not. Our consciousness is a real code that's in the mind of the real, that comes from the mind of the real us. So think of it like this. If you, to explain it briefly, you have a dream. You go to rest, you dream, right? What if your dream, like the character in your dream, let's say you dream that you went to the store and there were some people in the store. What if every person you see in your dream could think? Because the way that we think of dreams is that you're the only one in the dream thinking and everybody else in the dream is doing whatever they're doing, but they're kind of working off autopilot. That's what we think. But what we are told is that everyone in the dream is us. This is what dream analysis and different scientists say. Everyone in the dream is a version of us. So that means that everything they're doing, it's really us doing it. You might be in a dream and arguing with someone, and you see yourself from this perspective of the one that's arguing. You don't see yourself from the perspective of the one who's being argued with, but that's also you, and you're also infusing their consciousness with the ability to argue with you. That's what they're saying in the dream analysis. Now, in this world, what I'm saying is we are in here and we've been put in, we've allowed our consciousness to be uploaded into this program so that we can fix the future. The future, the real world that we're in, is outside of all this. It's outside of that little bubble that I showed, that little sphere with the flat plane, the flat disc in the middle. It's outside of that. All this world that we see is inside of that little bubble. That's where we are at. We are the figments of a dream, of our own imagination. I'm calling it a dream. It's really consciousness. But to make it simpler, I'm saying dreams. We are images in a dream. We think that we are some real being or this is it. We're the it. We don't realize that we're just a thought form in a dream. The real us allow its consciousness to be programmed into this so that we can have this experience. Why? Because this simulation, that's why it's called a simulation, is a simulation of the real world, of the history of the real world. The real world that we come from, or we're in, has been through all of this. COVID-19, it's way past that. World War III, everything that happened, we already passed that. What happened is, the world that we're in the real world, outside of this matrix, is decaying, it's falling apart, it's messing up. And the technology in that world is very advanced. But we figured out that we did something wrong. And one of the decisions or the paths that we took in life led to everything falling apart. So what we did was we created this simulation, this device. We just took this technology, this device, and created a simulation, a program, and put the consciousness into it, and allowed us to have the experience of what we call life from throughout human history, and see what we did wrong. So let's say, for instance, we go back to what people might consider to be the beginning of the earth life, human life on earth, whatever. And we go through that whole life, boom, boom, boom. And we have the history all the way to the point where the Matrix, because what happens is, I'm skipping past stuff. I'm talking a little fast, I'm skipping past stuff. Pardon me. One more time. Pardon me. All right, so, could you pass the grateful pump? No. So, what I'm saying is, the Matrix always comes to an end. This program comes to an end. It's not forever. We're in it, and the consciousness is in it, but it's not forever. Just like a dream is not forever. It comes to an end. What happens is, in that process, in the simulation, in the dream, we're gonna call it a dream / simulation. This world, this life, from the beginning of history, as we might want to call it, all the way to now, or all the way to when the world ends, we see that it ended, so we know that we didn't do something right. So what happens is, we're hooked up to this device. When the world ends, the real us starts to wake up. But what we did was we created a time loop. That's why it's a virtual reality time loop, virtual reality time loop simulation program. That's what I meant to say, virtual reality holograms. That's us, holograms. But anywho, so we looped our consciousness back into the program and do it again from the beginning. And then we try to do something different to see if the outcome. Then it goes all the way through history and the world ends. Then we say, damn, we loop it again before we wake up. Boom, and we do it all the way throughout human history again. And then it ends. We say, damn, and we keep changing stuff every time, little stuff, blah, blah, blah. And we see if it works. Like if we change one thing and it makes us, the world end 2 years later, we say, okay, that's something that we know that's something that we might want to do because that helps. And then we keep doing it from the beginning all the way to now. So then what we come to realize is that we getting smarter. We're scientists. We're getting data. We're sending data back. That's what I didn't really convey that in this. We're in this program to decode this program to send data back to ourselves. Just like when you have a dream, the whole science they say of a dream is just trying to give you a message. It's trying to tell you about something in your waking life. That's the same thing with this. We're here trying to figure out what's going on and send message back to the real us, so that it can do something in the waking world. But we keep getting put in this loop because we can't figure it out, and it don't make no sense to wake up and try to do anything if we don't have the answers. So we keep being in this loop and in this loop and this loop. And there are scientists, the real us. I'm talking about the real us that's in the hooked up. There are real scientists around that are monitoring the thoughts. We talking about advanced technology. So now we're talking about technology that allows us to see dreams and realize, like see a dream as if you're watching a movie. A person could think and you can see their thoughts like it's a movie. So as we're going through this, the scientists are looking and saying, that's not it. Oh, that's not it. Oh, look what he did. That made a big difference. Look what she did. That made a big, oh, they did that. That messed up everything what they did over there. So every time we loop it, we try to like work it a little better to make it a little better to see what the outcome is going to be. as we keep doing this, every time we have a version of the Matrix and it ends, the end of the world, that is considered a universe, what people call a universe. So when people be like, there are multiple universes and stuff like that, that's what they're talking about. Or there are multiple lives, there's a past life and a future life. That's what they're talking about, different versions of the Matrix. That's just other lives that we are in. Now, what happens is you keep stacking these versions on top of each other. Version. And now we have millions of virgins, because this has been going on for a very, very long time. Now, in the real world, this has been happening for maybe a few minutes, maybe 3 minutes. In our time, by what we think, we have millions of virgins. You say, how could you live human history all the way through for billion years, the Earth history or whatever, and get all the way to here and do that millions of times, and it's only 3 minutes? The same way you can have a dream and do 3 days worth of stuff and wake up and you was only resting for 15 minutes. That's the same way it works. But let me get back to this. So as we're collecting, the scientists in the real world are collecting data from us here in this matrix that are sending messages back. And how do we send messages back? By getting, you see people that they talk about like Buddha and this wise yogi and this sage, and they got in tune and they tapped into this and they made the hieroglyphics and they built pyramids. These are people that started cracking the code. And when they cracked the code, they did stuff to change history and make history different. And that code, that information got sent back. And that data that got sent back, they started putting stuff in a program or manipulating the code in the program. The scientists in the real world started manipulating the codes in the program. This is a program. It has codes. They started manipulating the codes in this program to lead us in certain directions, because they realized that that's what we need to do. Instead of us going here and making a mistake and wasting a whole version, they be like, listen, if they need to be wearing or if they need to have long arms, we're gonna push them toward having long arms. They can't make us have long arms, because that's not how it works. But they can do things to lead you to kind of like it's not even motivate. It's kind of push you or nudge you in a certain direction. They can make strong suggestions that lead you in a certain direction. But you have to make that conscious decision to go that way, because we're dealing with consciousness. It's like when a hypnotist hypnotizes somebody, they can put subliminal thoughts there, but it's really on the mind of the person that's under hypnosis. If your mind is a certain level of stubbornness or strongness or whatever you want to call it, it just won't go that way. And this is also another thing that I didn't mention. We are one, all of these people, all of us. We're not talking about a bridge. A bridge is something that people made. That's just elements that people learn how to manipulate in different ways. Or we're not talking about a light pole or a table or something. That's stuff that people learn how to make. We're talking about so-called nature, flowers, trees, fruit, stuff like that, dirt, the wind. That's all data. That's all information. We are data. We are information. What happens is we are one consciousness, us, but we've broken up and gone separate ways, and this is what's messing us up, because you have a lot of rogue data going in different directions when it's not. If we was all of one mind, one accord with one mission, we'd be a lot more advanced than we are. We'd have figured out, because we already figured out a lot of stuff. The problem is that, and I'll come back to that. Remember what I said. I'm going to come back to that, because I'm going to touch this and I'm going to touch something, and you'll see why I have to come back to it. Okay. In the process, remember, I got to come back to it. Just remember, we have rogue programs. We have rogue data. We are one big data that's been shattered into a gabillion pieces. So all this is with these different people that you see, and they all thinking different and doing different. Remember in the Bible it said, and the whole earth was of one language and one accord. And then they start building what they call the Tower of Babel. Boom, then it got shattered. It said that God came and shattered, and confused the language and made them all scattered all over the earth. That is a real science. What happens is, remember, there's a real world outside of this imaginary world that we're in, this dreamscape we're in. In that real world, the same way there's scientists collecting data, the same way there's a version of us, a version that's hooked up and that's experiencing certain things, experiencing this this dreamscape through its consciousness. There are other beings, and those other beings are, I'm gonna call them scientists as well. They're just bad scientists, so to speak, and they don't want to fix what's going on in the now. They want it to end for whatever reason, and so they uploaded a virus into the program, this program that we're in, and the virus they uploaded into the program takes the form of the system. The first thing that the virus does is shatter the consciousness. We're one collective consciousness. It shatters that and make us see each other as a disconnect. And it creates a system that fosters more of that disconnect. Hold on. Let me get ready. You see what I'm saying? The virus creates a system that that fosters more disconnect. And you want to know how it does that. For instance, it says it's a dog-eat-dog world. Every man for himself. Survival of the fittest. I gotta get mines. Now we gotta get ours. I gotta get mines. But it does that. Those are the sayings that came later. Before that, we had the mentality of building tribes. A tribe is a separation from the rest of humanity, because we're supposed to be one world tribe. So when you go have a tribe and you have a tribe and you have a tribe, that's not how it's supposed to be. We're supposed to be one. When you got a family, now we call tribes families. We don't call them tribes, no, we call them families. But that's really a tribe. We're not supposed to have individual families. We're supposed to be a collective family. So the science is they put the virus in here, and the virus manifested originally as a separation theory, where we started seeing each other as separate individuals and not wanting to connect. So now you have her doing her own thing, and her doing her own thing, and her doing something different, and her doing something different, and him doing something different. Then everybody's doing something different. Then you have a few people that I said I was going to come back, and I just came back. All that information I just gave you was to come back. So when I said that, I got to tell you this first. So now the system evolves itself even more, because people like me and other people that have come over the time, I'll come back to that, but other beings that are in this matrix, because I'm a different anomaly in the matrix, and I'm explaining what anomaly I am, and certain other people are that anomaly. We come and we teach, and people start feeling that connection and want to come back to that connection. So they be like, nah, we got to stop that. Because when we come back together, we're going to figure out what's going on and send the data back, and we can fix this, and we can get out of this program. Not us, but because we're consciousness. We're going to be in the mind of the real us, and the real us is going to be able to get off the equipment and, go about life. And we won't have to be trapped in this no more. So what happens is this. They create a system like school, work, training programs, the family structure, indoor living, different things like high-rise apartments. Like, you probably can't see it behind me, but there's some high-rises behind me and stuff. We're supposed to be connected to the ground, because there's data in the ground. This is, we're here. It's all data. So when you're connected to the data, you touching data. This is something that was here. So this is part of the data. This is so-called nature. It's part of the data. So they put you living way up in the air, so you're disconnected from the data. Then you got windows. Your windows are closed. Boom. So you're not getting the air. You're barely going out. You're wearing clothes, so you're not getting the sunlight. The sunlight is not hitting the skin. The air is not hitting the skin. The rain, the water. It's raining right now. It's drizzling, and I'm loving this, because it's hitting the hands. I'm mostly covered up, but it's not much you can do about that. Like I said, in the park or whatever. So, and I could have because I have a shirt under this. I have a tank top under this. I could have took it off and did the video at least with a tank top. But again, I'm thinking ahead. people see that, and to them it's weird. They like, why the hell is it raining and it's a little bit cool out here? It's not, to me, it's not that cold. As you see, you know, I got a shirt or whatever. People got way more on than me. I could have took that off and did at least that to show more skin or whatever. But what happens is people walk by and see that, and you know, there's buildings. You can't, I'm not going to show because I don't want to move the phones. But there's many buildings behind me, and people look out the window and they see you over here doing this, and they see you in a t-shirt, and they're like, what are you doing? If you're not working out or something, they wonder, what are you doing? Why you got a shirt? And that makes them nervous, because a lot of people have complexes about sexuality, and clothes off to them equals sexuality, even though it's not. So what they end up doing is calling the cops. Then the cops come and say, what are you doing? Da, da, da. And you're not really supposed to be in a park that has playgrounds for children if you don't have a child with you in New York City. I don't know about what they're doing anywhere else, but in New York City, that's a rule. So rather than me do stuff that's gonna excite, and I don't mean excite in a good way, I mean provoke, let's use that word, people that from a distance that might be watching. I don't know, you probably didn't see them walk by, but provoking people, I just thought ahead. I said I'm not gonna do anything to bring that about on the self. Okay, so the virus has put on a program manifest first as a disconnect between all of us on a most basic human level. Then what it does, because this is what happened. Before I explain that, let me explain this. I know I keep jumping around, but it's not really jumping around. It's really important. We began to realize that we started to, as we kept going through versions of the Matrixx and sending data back, the scientists started realizing that the problem is not back a million years ago. It's not back. That they started pinpointing about where the problem started at and what the problem might be. So they started instituting things in the program. They started writing code. Just like if you're typing a message and you write hello, you write HELL. You're like, no, I don't want to say that. Then you backspace. And you know, you erase, you go back and erase it. And then you write hi, HI. Then you send it. You can change the code. They have the same way you can change the code on your device, because you're outside of the device. The scientists on the outside of that can change the code to this Matrixx. They don't do it in a lot of ways because it'll upset. We're not. If we woke up tomorrow and you know, night was day, day was night, it would have really messed up. Oh man, I really don't like that you have to hear all this negative frequency coming through. Yeah, so we're gonna try to like block that out. I know that's terrible, whatever, but it is. That's just like a one-off. That's not gonna happen like that. So what they're doing is they started seeing about where the problem is and what the problem is. So then these people added the virus, and they're like, nah, we gotta distract the consciousness. I said it was a one-off. It's actually, I guess, a two-off. Another one went by. That's really part of the same thing. But anyway, so what they decided to do is they said, these people, when I say consciousness, I mean human beings. Human beings collectively are the consciousness. We're the data and the dreams. The rest of this stuff that you see is data, but it's data from the Matrixx. It's data from the program. We are not part of the program. We're part of the consciousness that's injected into the program. So basically, everything was already put here as far as the program. They just put our mind, our consciousness, our thoughts into a already existing program that has the wind and the sun and the rain, the moon and stuff like that. We humans are basically that. The humans are that consciousness. Okay, so they said we need to separate the humans from being one so that they can't figure this thing out. Then what they started doing is instituting different types of oppressive or separation techniques. And they started with tribes. You be a tribe over there, you be a tribe over there, you be a tribe over there. Then they started doing different things. Oh, the women should be with the women, the men should be, back. But it was a time, I don't want to get into that. That's too complicated. But there was always a time when there was all women, and then men came, and then they were separated, whatever. But that wasn't part of the the separation thing. That was part of the Matrix. So to make this clear, the Matrix is this program we're in. It's good. It's positive. It's doing us. It's there to help us. The system or the virus is the system. It's not here to help us. It's bad. Okay, so now we have the good and the bad. We know the two, and we're in the middle of it. So you look at it as one as saying the will of God, the will of the devil, or the Satan, or whatever you want to call it, if a religious terminology. Now, we're here. I really hope that I'm not yelling too loud, because I feel like I'm yelling, but I feel like I'm trying to talk over the traffic. If it's too loud, you can always turn it down. See, that's the good thing about that. If I'm talking too low, you can't turn it up. All right, so anywho. All right. They start putting these institutions, and they say you got to work. You need 8 hours rest. You need 8 hours work, and you got to travel to work. You got to travel home. You got to do this and that. So as they doing that, they're taking up your time, because the time that you have, you're supposed to dedicate that time to. Oh, I don't see it. Is this? All right, cool. You're supposed to dedicate that time to decoding this matrix. Your life is supposed to be spent lolling around just thinking about the matrix. You're not supposed to be working. I mean, you do the basic stuff you do to survive, to eat, but how they have it now, supermarkets, and that's part of the virus, the system. And it's not only because the food in there are processed and all this other stuff. First of all, you're supposed to get your fruit when it's fresh. You pick an apple, and then 2 weeks later you eat the apple. The apple's totally disconnected at that point. You need it when it's still in life form. If you just plucked it off the tree, it still has that connection to the tree. After a certain amount of time, that connection is gone. It's like a dead body. It takes, even when you die, there's a certain amount of time while you're quote unquote dead. There's a certain amount of time while you're still alive, or you still have life force in you until it's totally gone. That's why people wait in ancient times, they waited a certain amount of time before they buried you, because they were like, you could come back before this amount of days, and it usually was 3 days. This is one of the sciences of why they were saying Jesus was in the tomb for 3 days and then resurrect. You can resurrect. And the whole thing with Lazarus, he's not dead, he's just sleeping. That's what that's about, based on raising the dead. You can come back because you still have life force in you. But that's not what this live is about, and that's a big subject. Anyway, the whole thing is they create a whole system of distraction and hindrances and a maze, so that you can't do what you're here to do. You're here to focus on decoding this matrix. How you going to work on decoding this matrix when you stressed out about sitting in traffic, or you stressed out about being on a crowded bus or a train, when the guy next to you is coughing and you worried about catching germs and diseases? And I'm not talking about C-19, I'm talking about before that, 20, 30 years ago. When you're sitting around worried about, you're getting called from your child's teacher, there's too many things they have that are distractions. But the reality is, a lot of children are acting up because they're given the stuff that's in vaccines, and I'm not sitting here promoting to take them or don't take them. I'm not dealing with them personally, and people on the camp where I'm at is not dealing with them. That's what we do. You do what you do. But it's stuff in the vaccines that upset their DNA, and it makes them behave in a certain way.